welcome to Yarn Happy. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new, my name is Vanessa and yarn makes me happy. If it does the same for you, then stick around because I think you'll like it here. This week is kind of the reverse of last week in that I did not work on the peacock blanket at all, and I worked mostly on the fruits blanket. So I think the last time I showed the fruits blanket to you, I was on the strawberry. So I have finished that. Little reminder of how that looks close up. And then in the intro, you saw me working on the banana. I did finish that one as well. And this is probably my favorite one that I've done so far. I really like this stitch because it's very drapey, and very stretchy, and it just looks really nice. I mean, it has like a ribbed look to it, which made me think that the next sweater I work on, I'm going to try and pick up the stitches and do a Tunisian ribbing in the round, just like you can do with knit. So I think that will be kind of a cool experiment to do. And make it and give it kind of a cool finish. So that's kind of a cool result of working on this blanket and trying all these different stitches and seeing how the fabric comes out in each yarn. I'm able to see how much yarn each stitch uses and kind of get an idea of how things will work up in future projects. If I want to improvise things here and there, I know generally how things work out. So that's kind of a fun result of working on this blanket. And part of the motivation of it, honestly, was I just wanted to see explore how all the Tunisian stitches work up. So the next one I started was orange, and I had actually started this in a different stitch pattern, but I didn't really like how it was working up with the colors, so I pulled it out and started over. This is just a simple stitch like I did on the lime. As you can see, it's the same, but this is on the bias, so it will come out diagonal. So this is one corner, and I'm working my way across, and then once I get to 4 inches, which usually works out to be about 25 to 26 stitches across, I will start going upwards and create the panel that way. So I like how that's coming out. And it'll work out nicely too, because maybe I'll do some other ones diagonal, because if this one stays diagonal, then I guess having like half straight, half diagonal or something might work out looking kind of cool, but we'll see. Just as a refresher, Kato is scratching on the carpet. Sorry about that. As a refresher of the colors that I'm using, we've got blueberry, plum, and kiwi left. So, and then here is the array of all the colors so far. So I think I should be able to at least get all the panels done by the end of the month. Probably not the blanket, because I'm gonna have to do the joins and the border and all that stuff, but having all the panels done will be a good, I'll be happy with that if I can accomplish that by the end of the month. The other thing I worked on was I did start something new, just like I figured I would, but I did not start something new that was already on my list of things to do. I came up with something entirely different that, you know, like, of course I wouldn't go with something that was already on my list of things to do that I already have yarn for. I've got to go and find something totally out of the blue that I may have already bought new yarn for, because of course. But this is not new yarn. This is some scrap yarn that I had just to like start the test process. But as you can see, I'm making crochet socks. Now, before you roll your eyes or question why on earth would I make crochet socks, well, the answer to that is I just really want to see if I can make it work. And I had actually found a course by Marley Bird that promises to teach you how to make wearable crochet socks. So I just thought, why not? Let me try it out. I've got tons of scrap yarn already that I can use to play around with. And so I did it. And I started out with this. This yarn is a 100% superwash wool by King Cole. It says merino blend, but it's 100% superwash wool. It's not blended with anything, so I don't know why they call it that. But it's a 50-gram ball, 204 yards, which means it's kind of a heavier fingering weight, which is kind of encouraging because this is not that thick. I mean, it's like maybe like a hiking sock weight to it. So the fact that this is a bit heavy of a fingering weight, and it's like it's not slipper like, you know, is encouraging because I can use my thinner fingering weights and probably get even better result. And this is also 100% superwash wool, which means that it does not have nylon or polyamide or elastane or anything to give it extra stretch. Just the natural stretch of the wool itself is all that it has, and it's quite stretchy. I mean, that's a good stretch. This way is not quite as stretchy, but it still will stretch pretty good. This is pretty stretchy. So, you know, you can get it on no problem, and it will go back to its original shape and size. The least stretchy part in this first experiment here is the heel, because this is regular single crochets. These are extended single crochets, and then the top is, you know, shell stitches. But so that's probably the only place where there's a little bit less elasticity. But, you know, even with a non-elastic type yarn, you could use a thread of elastic to hold with it, and that will create some more elasticity. So that's something that I'm probably going to try as well. The great thing about being able to make socks is that you can use up scrap yarn in small projects rather than saving it all for like a massive scrap blanket, which is always what I end up doing, but then I just have a huge project to work on. So being able to throw my scraps into small projects like this and like whip them out quickly will be really satisfying and really nice. And if I can actually create something wearable with that, well, that would be even better, right? So I guess you guys are along for the ride to see if I can actually accomplish this and make wearable socks. For a first prototype, I feel pretty happy with this. This is not a result that I would be like jumping for joy and being like, yes, I did it. But for a first try, the yarn's a little heavy. I used a little smaller of a hook to kind of see how that would work up. I'm kind of, you know, I'm experimenting. So the fact that I was able to stretch it out and make it fit, and it's, you know, holding its shape and all that, it's a good first prototype. So I'm quite pleased with the progress on that. So I'll definitely be showing you all of the experiments I do along the way in the sock adventure. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you are interested in it, I'll leave a link to the workshop and you can check that out for yourself as well. And my ultimate goal, honestly, is Tunisian socks, because I feel like, as you can see with the fruits blanket and the way that the fabrics turn out with Tunisian stitches, I think that socks could really suit making socks. And even with just the construction of this sock and learning that, I can already see how it could be done in Tunisian. So yeah, it's really encouraging. I think it'll be, you know, I had it stuck in my head that I wanted to make socks, and I always hear, you know, oh, crochet socks just don't work. You can't do that. They're just not going to be the same. Well, they aren't going to be the same because they're not the same. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't be wearable. At least I don't think so. I will be honest with myself in this process, or at least try to be. And if it isn't working and everyone was right, then I will try to admit defeat graciously. But otherwise, I really hope that I can make it work because, like I said, it would be great to. I mean, yeah, I could learn to knit just to do socks, but listen, I know myself and I know how I craft. And if I switch over to knitting socks, then I will start looking at knitting sweaters and I will start looking at knitting blankets. And then all my crochet dreams and projects will be lost for like 5 years. So, you know, I already know how to crochet. I'm already pretty good at it. I want to try and make socks work with crochet. You just have to look at it a little differently. So it's going to look a little different. It's going to feel a little different, but if it's wearable, then, you know, it's a success. So we'll see if I actually can live up to my words there. All right, so the next thing is my acquisition for this week, which is not any yarn. I did buy some yarn, but it's not here yet. So look forward to that next week, which I really hope that it all arrives. Some of it will hopefully arrive by next week, because that would be pretty disappointing to say that and then have nothing to show. But anyway, I did buy a cart, a project cart, because where I work on my projects, my desk was getting like really cluttered. So I got a project cart to help me kind of get some of my extra accessories off the desk so that I have a little more space. So I took a little video of that and how I have it set up so far. So I will roll that now. Here is my cart. And the top I have my hook holder with some little extras, stitch markers, my little folding scissors, and this magnet needle holder I got with my grandma's stuff, and then the special safety pin, which actually it's not special at all. I just put it in there because it fit. And this little thing goes to the Tunisian hook down there. I like to try and keep those together because the hooks don't have size markers on them, so there's no way for me to tell except to have a gauge to check them with. The yarn from my sock, the next swatch for the blanket or the next panel, and in the bottom I have my peacock blanket. So this is going to make a lot of space on my computer desk and make it a little less cluttered, which is great. All right, well, that's actually all I have for you this week. So if you like the video, then hit the like button and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think and any ideas that you have for anything that I'm working on or anything you'd like to see. And subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with what I'm doing, and also watch the riveting sock saga. So yeah, that's all I've got for you. So I'll see you next week. Bye.